Hello, it is Friday, it's 4 o'clock. It is time for some functional health in the health lab, which today is inside the clinic, Body and Balance. So, today's topic is how to eat your Christmas dinner while also looking after your blood sugar. And this is something that you don't have to wait till Christmas to start actually doing. And it's something that the more you practice, especially if you've got a blood sugar problem, the better it's going to be. Okay, but also, I think I mentioned it before, but I'll go through it again, is if you suspect you've got a blood sugar problem, I'm going to go through the test that you should really be asking your doctor about as well. So, first of all, blood sugar. Why is it important to look after your blood sugar? Well, because if your blood sugar is going wrong, it basically means the whole of your metabolism is going wrong. It's straining, because while we need sugar to make energy, I mean, we can make it from fats, but the fats are made into sugar. So there's lots of things that are actually happening, basically, in order to make sure that we're creating the things we need to create energy. But when we have too much, our cells start breaking, we start getting more inflammation, our immune system starts, to have some problems. And in fact, diabetes and blood sugar problems is the #1 risk factor for the scourge of today, which is COVID, or rather the publicly affirmed scourge of today, even though pollution kills far more people, heart disease kills more people, cancer kills more people, diabetes kills more people, and it just goes on and on and on and on. But blood sugar, and just so you know, as of this recording, there has been 1 death worldwide from the Omicron variant, 1, and it was right here in the UK. So we have done worse than countries with really poor medicine, with no vaccinations. And I know the 1 death actually here happened in someone who hadn't been vaccinated, but nobody's died from it elsewhere. So it just shows how badly we in this country are actually treating COVID. In fact, the country with the most medicine, US, UK, Europe, are doing far worse than the countries with the least medicine, because we aren't treating COVID early. We're waiting for people to get sick and we're not doing anything about it. But enough of that. So how are we going to prevent the scourge, which is diabetes and blood pressure and blood sugar problems? Well, there's 2 simple strategies. Okay, and you can do them separately or you can do them both together. And again, you might not actually want to do this one on Christmas Day, but here's the thing: if you really want to keep your blood sugar stable, okay, this is something you can practice every single meal, because the more you keep your blood sugar stable, the better it is. Because if you're going from low blood sugar to high blood sugar, back to low, back to high, back to low, it's actually worse than having moderately high all the time. Because blood sugar fluctuation is worse, okay, than just keeping it steady, even if it's steady, moderately high, or even steady high. If it's going low to high, low to high, low to high. So the average might be less, but anyway. So here's the thing, is you want to stabilize your blood sugar. So the first thing you should do when you eat a meal is eat all your vegetables. Eat the stuff that's fibrous, that's full of nutrition, and eat that first. So when you're going to a restaurant, don't have wine and bread first, because wine and bread is sugar. You want to have the fibre first, and that starts doing all sorts of things like slowing down how quickly you absorb the sugar. It has a massive effect when you eat your fibre first. It's something I teach in the 5-pound detox courses. Eat your fibre first, fresh fibre first. It has tremendous effects on the whole of your health. So try and eat as, and so on Christmas Day, try and just eat all your sprouts first. Yes, sprouts. I love sprouts. But no, I don't. But I do eat them on Christmas Day. But basically, and sprouts are also full of something that helps you produce lots of glutathione, which is also really good for detoxification. So try and eat lots of fibrous stuff first. Or maybe order a salad and have a salad first if you're going out somewhere to eat. But you want to have fibre first. Then you have your protein. And again, if you have protein, it slows down the absorption of sugars. It has other effects through your system as well. and then have your carbohydrates and your wine and your cake. But if you can, if you do that as much as possible, now personally, I actually like the taste of roast potatoes and Brussels sprouts together with gravy. So obviously save some Brussels sprouts to have with your potatoes as well. Yeah, in my opinion, that's what I'll be doing anyway. But try and eat more fibre at the first. Now, maybe you're not going to do that for the whole Christmas meal, but it's going to help if you have more fibre first, have more meat first, and save all the stodgy stuff for the end. You'll also eat less of it, which will be much, much better for you. Now the other thing, and you can do this with every meal, you can do it with your breakfast, you can do it with your dinner, you can do it with your lunch, you can do it every meal, you can do it every day, and it's going to help stabilize your blood sugar. And the other thing you can do is you can have a pre-meal meal. Bear with me. Okay, because this helps you release something called, I can't even remember what it's called now. Glucagon-like peptide? No, glucose? I can't remember. It's GLP-1. Can't remember what it's actually called. GLP-1. Anyway, GLP-1 is when you eat food, it seems to stimulate the release of GLP-1 before blood sugar has even been absorbed into your body. And it helps your pancreas release insulin, which helps then basically get the blood sugar out of your blood and into your cells. But GLP-1 also has a range of other effects on tissues throughout your entire body. It's very, very good for the brain. It helps protect your brain when you have higher GLP-1 levels. And it also decreases your appetite, so you're going to eat less. It helps protect your nerves. It helps decrease inflammation generally. It helps your immune system. It does a number of things. So how do you stimulate GLP-1? Well, you do this by 3 methods, okay, that are all pretty much the same, okay, which is about 15 minutes, so between maybe 10 minutes and half an hour before you have your main meal, you have either some resistant starches, so oligosaccharides, which can just, or some fibre powder you can just put into water, stir it and drink it. Or you can have some protein powder, which can be the pea protein or whey protein. And that can be, and you'll need anywhere between 20 and 50 grams, okay, which may seem a lot and also will fill you up a bit as well. It means you're going to eat less. Or you can also have 30 millilitres of either olive oil or maybe coconut oil, because coconut oil should do the same thing. So you either have fat, protein or fibre 10 minutes to half an hour before your main food. Okay, and what one of my mentors does, this is Dr. Brian Walsh, and this is who I learned all this from, is he suggests maybe just take a tablespoon of olive oil, maybe take 20 grams of protein powder, and you could just try maybe you're just using glutamine powder as well, which mixes really easily, or whey protein, and what's the other thing, and maybe some oligosaccharides or some fibre powder, and you just mix it together and drink it, and it's not really, well, I don't have a problem with it. But so you could try just one of these things. And the other thing, something else, if you like eggs, okay, a hard-boiled egg 15 minutes before you eat as well has been shown to have this beneficial effect on increasing GLP-1, which has all these tremendous effects, including having an effect on your insulin and your blood sugar to keep the blood sugar lower and more stable. And this is one of the things they found, because often what happens with a meal is your blood sugar goes up afterwards, and then it can tend to come down and crash a little bit. And so some people can have reactive hypoglycemia, which then leads them to wanting more sugar after a meal. And what GLP-1 does is it stops your blood sugar going so high, but it also stops it crashing as well. So it actually stays more stable, which decreases the hypoglycemic effect, which also is much, much, much better for your health. So basically you could just have a couple of tablespoons of olive oil, if you like olive oil. You could have a hard-boiled egg. You could get some fibre powder. And we use something called dynamic, what's it called? They changed the name of it, dynamic prebio fibre. I can put a link to it if you want. Or you can use some protein powder, or you can use a little bit of a mixture. Instead of using lots of each, you have little bits of each. So you want basically either protein, fat, or fibre about 15 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, maybe half an hour before you eat. Then when you eat, you want to try and eat as much fibre as possible. So eat all your vegetables first, then eat your protein, then eat your stodge, and start drinking. And that's going to really stabilise your blood sugar. Even on Christmas Day, if you just do a little bit of this, it's going to help. If you've got blood sugar problems and health problems, you're worried about your immunity, start eating like this more often. Okay, well, I hope that's really helpful. I was also going to talk about blood tests, wasn't I? Yes. So, blood sugar. Here's the thing, is just taking a snapshot of your blood sugar is completely pointless in trying to figure out whether or not you've really got blood sugar problems, because your pancreas secretes insulin, okay, and the insulin helps the blood sugar get into your cells. But if you've got lots and lots and lots and lots of blood sugar happening, you're going to get more and more and more insulin. And say, for instance, your cells aren't listening to the insulin, your blood sugar levels can be fine, but you could have tons and tons and tons of insulin. And so your blood sugar can look completely fine. But unless you have an insulin test, and I'm going to make a bit of change to this in a moment, unless you have an insulin test, you don't actually really know if you have actually got some kind of pancreatic problem at all. Okay? But here's the other thing, there's also something called hemoglobin HbA1c, which is a measure of how sugary your blood is. And your blood might not be that sugary because the more your blood cells hang around, the more likely they're going to be sugary. Okay, so if you've got cells that are living to a very long age, they're all going to appear sugary, and so you can have a high HbA1c. But also you could have red blood cells that are turning over very quickly, so you can have lots of sugar, but they're just not getting very sugary. So HbA1c by itself, again, is not too helpful. So that could, again, be completely normal. And your insulin could be sky high. But here's the other thing, is some people, the reason they've got problems with their blood sugar is because their body is making antibodies to insulin. And so what's happening is, here's the insulin, an antibody comes onto the insulin no longer works, and it's also no longer recognized by the tests as insulin. So you could have completely normal blood sugar, you could have completely normal HbA1c, you could have insulin levels that look okay because most of it's covered in antibodies, and when the antibodies fall off, the insulin suddenly releases, and suddenly your blood pressure, your blood sugar crashes for no apparent reason. And so you may be thinking you've got hypoglycemia lots, and it's because you've actually got auto-antibodies to insulin. So what else is there? There's something called C-peptide. Now, in your pancreas, your insulin is actually locked on to something called C-peptide, and it stops it from being active. But once your pancreas releases, or just before, the C-peptide comes off and floats around in your bloodstream. And you can measure your C-peptide levels. And so actually getting a C-peptide, if your doctor, or if you suspect you've got some blood sugar problems, or if you want to be properly checked, even if you don't suspect anything at all, ask for a C-peptide test. It's unlikely that they'll do it. Okay, but the top diabetes specialists in the UK do it. Okay, they do a C-peptide test because they know how important it is. So, C-peptide, there we go. So I hope you've learned some stuff. Have some protein, fat or fibre. If you're trying to lose weight, I'll probably stick with fibre or oligosaccharides, or maybe some protein rather than the fat. But sometimes the fat helps you burn fat. So there we go. So try that before you eat, and eat your fresh fibre first. And it's all going to help you live longer and happier and healthier, basically, and you can still enjoy all your food and all the Christmassy stuff. And then if you suspect you've got blood sugar problems, or you really want to know how well controlled your situation is, ask for a C-peptide test. As ever, thank you for watching, and I want you all to live long and prosper with magnificent health. Bye for now.